Hi everyone, Canthony Dutano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Tribulation record, The Children of the Night! Tribulation is a Swedish metal band on their third full-length LP, if I'm correct. I first caught wind of them in 2013 through the album The Formulas of Death, a sometimes brutal and sometimes harmonious throwback of thrash, death, and heavy metal, with some very dramatic, blackened, raspy vocals, and some progressive song structures sometimes, as well as sinister melodies. Not only because some of the tracks on this LP were pretty catchy, but also it's pretty awesome to hear such a seamless blend of multiple metal styles on one LP. Though I did have some issues with this record, I thought the vocals were just maybe a little too buried for my taste, and some of the tracks on this thing were just kind of, I don't know, forgettable. I didn't think Tribulation came through with that strong of a personality on this LP, though I did think there were some awesome instrumentals on this album, the right balance of flashy playing and head-bashing brutality. Think a cross between the gruff, killer aggression of a band like Toxic Holocaust mixed with the kind of melodic, sweet, eerie, and occult vibe that you might get on a Ghost album, with some classic heavy metal vibes thrown in at times as well. Well, that record is in the past now. We're in the present. We are here for another round of Tribulation songs, and they haven't really changed the core of their sound all that much. We get some bigger production on here. The vocals seem pumped up a little bit. And all in all, Tribulation actually pulls through with a pretty solid metal record. The entire LP kicks off with these powerful, theatrical organ chords. The track slowly builds tension until it eventually just breaks into this moonlit melodic metal tune. The vocals on this thing puncture the mix like vampire fangs into an unsuspecting victim, with some soaring guitar leads flying like bats overhead. It's a pretty great start. And then the record starts its full-on attack of driving drums and chords, supporting these gothic melodies, the occasional kind of catchy vocal. This album is nothing but cobwebs, castles, candelabras, cauldrons, and headbanging. And Tribulation sticks to that vibe pretty closely through this entire record. Some tracks on here get a little more ambitious than others instrumentally, introducing these long, winding instrumental passages. Others bring on extra instrumentation, some keyboards, some strings. There are quite a few 6 and 7 minute long tracks on this nearly 1 hour album. And Tribulation does a relatively good job of keeping things riveting throughout these tracks. Even on the song which is noticeably quieter than the other tracks here, features a bit of a surf rock drum beat mixed with some mighty drum fills and some great guitar melodies. Now here's the part in the review where I'm like, well, you know, it's pretty good, but... Even though I appreciate that Tribulation seems to put everything into their sound and style, I think this record is a little one note. Despite some pretty good interludes and intros, pretty much every song here ends up falling into these similarly triumphant and righteous builds of melodic heavy metal guitars and drums. And there are points on this LP where I wish the vocals were just a little bit more eccentric. While I like the fact that they are a bit more intelligible lyrically than some black metal vocalists are, I wish there were maybe some cleans on this record, some shrieks, anything to kind of break up the monotony of this album's instrumental style and vocal style. I wish there were more moments on this LP like Cauda Pavonis, which is this orchestral-ish interlude that builds the album up for its closing track. If there were more instrumental bits like this worked into the album track list or into these songs themselves, it would have kept a lot of them from just blending together. And even though the song is a pretty good setup for the closing track, this song doesn't really hit all that hard for me because I feel like at this point, Tribulation has done everything they are going to do, with the exception of the really noisy, intense last few moments of this track. Overall, this is a pretty good LP. I liked a lot of the tracks here. I think there are definitely some catchy highlights on this album, and Tribulation are most definitely, unquestionably talented from an instrumental standpoint. I just wish, this record took more risks really instrumentally and vocally. Feeling a decent 2 strong 7 on this record. Transition, if you've given this album a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano. Music, Tribulation, forever.